and this is the Conduit. Hey, y'all, had to come back on real quick, give you this update. I know we just had Deborah's Corner, and we were talking about housing and eviction moratoriums and what to do. But I thought it's important for you to know what's going on in Seattle and what hopefully for some may be coming this way. So I'm going to go ahead and play this short snippet, and then we'll get into a conversation right after. All right.
Of course, this eviction moratorium was supposed to end at the end of September. However, it will now go through mid-January of 2022. Property owners tell us this is just another hit that they're going to have to take.
We really do have compassion for people that can't pay. I mean, everybody's been hit by this pandemic.
Property owner Dana Frank says she and her colleagues are feeling the financial fallout from yet another eviction moratorium extension.
The rental pool is really reducing, and there's not going to be any more mom and pop landlords because we just can't afford it.
Frank and her family own properties throughout Seattle's Central District.
This is our sole income. This is how we eat. And yeah, I mean, my father, his grandfather, there were many days when we put pickets on banks to stop the redlining, to get financing into this community.
This building, which bears her dad's name, has been in the family for 50 years.
My dad's been gone 25 years, and I just can't even imagine what he would think seeing the reality of how they're making us operate with our hands tied. I mean, we're literally with handcuffs, begging for the rent to be paid so that we can meet our obligations.
The moratorium protects renters from eviction or late fees for not paying rent. Those tenants will have additional protection when this extension ends. A City of Seattle ordinance gives renters a period of 6 months, which protects them from eviction if they can prove they've been financially impacted by COVID. That protects renters through mid-June of 2022. I asked Dana if she had a message for Mayor Durkan.
You failed us. You really failed us.
I should mention that Frank belongs to a group of property owners called Seattle Grassroots Land People. Now, this moratorium that has been extended also applies to small businesses and nonprofits, those businesses that have up to 50 employees. They will also be free from any late fees, any other charges, as well as eviction in the event of not being able to pay their rent. Live in Seattle's Central District, Steve Solis, King 5 News.
All right, Steve, thank you. So part of today's announcement was also an extension of Seattle's utility discount program. It will now continue until the end of October. Mayor Durkan is also asking utilities not to shut off service to customers through January 15th of next year, which lines up with the new eviction moratorium extension.
This Sunday, the battle over booze.
That's important for you to know. That information came out a few hours ago. Again, I don't know how that will impact Kitsap County. I would assume, I shouldn't assume anything. Maybe what could end up happening is other counties end up following suit and keep that moratorium in place. As you can see, this is definitely going to be very hurtful to renters. And so it's just continuing to make this situation it's bad, folks. You know, it's just not good, right? It's just not good. And, you know, what I would suggest is if there is any way that you can continue to pay your rent, that you do so, because I really do believe once the moratorium is over, for those that have made it hard on the landlords, I can see them evicting folks and just saying, like, you know what, maybe you had the money and you could have paid and you didn't. And as soon as this thing is up, yeah, you're up out of here, you know? And so, you know, when you think about it from their side, right? And everybody isn't big property managers and, you know, whatnot, or, you know, rich folks that own multiple properties and they're, you know, they're okay, you know, they're fine. For a lot of folks, they've got one home and they're using that to supplement their income, especially if they're older and they're on SSI or retirement. That's the way that they make ends meet. Um, so when you start thinking about, folks going through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and the winter, um, and no rent is coming in, what are the banks gonna not foreclose? Are they putting it on the back of their mortgages? Oh man, this is it's tough. I'm torn because I don't want to see people get evicted. I just wish that they would do something different. We have this billions of dollars, and the government just seems to be doing more of the same. It's like, oh, let's just do more of the same. So we'll just extend the moratorium. Doesn't fix anything, and it makes the situation worse. You know, I feel like in the very beginning, or I believe, what should have happened is they said, you know what? All right, here's the deal. The folks that owe mortgages, the people that owe rent, we're just gonna freeze it, right? So whoever you owe, we're just gonna freeze it in time. The banks got bailed out in '08. The banks can bail everyone out now. And there's no perfect situation or scenario uh, that would work. But to me, that would seem to be the scenario that would have the least amount of impact. And if the government wanted to bail folks out through rental assistance or whatever the case may be, then they can go ahead and pay the mortgages and pay the rent on behalf of the folks, and then just keep everybody out of it, and they're cool. But that's not what happened. But this is what's going on in Seattle. While we were on air, this article came out. I'm going to read this. There will be a little bit of overlap on the video that I read or that we just showed. Seattle's COVID eviction moratorium extended into January 2022. This came out it was updated at 6:32 p.m. And it's by Daniel Beekman and Heidi Groover. Seattle's pandemic eviction moratoriums will remain in place until January 15, 2022, rather than expiring at the end of September. Mayor Jenny Durkan said Tuesday. Durkan has extended the moratoriums with an executive order. She announced it in a news release citing the spread of COVID-19's Delta variant and an ongoing effort to distribute assistance to tenants who are behind on their rent. Hospitalizations related to the virus appear to be decreasing across Washington state, but deaths appear to be increasing. Okay, that's tough. As many as 60,000 Seattle area residents are estimated to be in households with rent debt, according to a survey last month. Seattle's moratoriums on most residential evictions and some commercial evictions have been extended 6 times since they were established in March of 2020, Durkan said. This next extension will ensure every level of government can provide rental assistance and housing support to tenants and landlords, which is critical to stabilizing the community as we reopen and recover, the mayor said in the release. The city's moratorium applied to residential, nonprofit, and small business tenants, with small businesses defined as those with 50 or fewer employees. Most evictions are prohibited for those tenants, including evictions for non-payment of rent, though tenants remain legally obligated to pay rent and can accumulate debt. Seattle is requiring landlords to offer payment plans as the has banned late charges and interest. Evictions can be sought in dangerous situations. When the city's moratorium on residential evictions expires, a 6-month defense in court against evictions due to the COVID-19 hardship will kick in, as will a defense against evictions based on rent debt incurred during the pandemic. Durkan isn't running for re-election this year and will no longer be mayor in January. Bruce Harrell and M. Lorena Gonzalez are competing for the job. In July, Governor Jay Inslee replaced Washington's moratorium on residential evictions with a bridge policy set to expire at the end of the month. Under that policy, landlords can seek some evictions for lease violations, nuisances, and other issues. The state is requiring landlords to offer payment plans to tenants who have fallen behind on rent during the pandemic, working to set up a program offering free attorneys to low-income tenants facing eviction and offering relief grants up to $15,000 to landlords under certain conditions. In a joint statement on Tuesday, landlord organizations criticized the extension of the city's moratorium on residential evictions. The city now owns a housing crisis of its own making, and has no idea how to move forward. It's no longer even about COVID, as businesses are open and hiring. Rental Housing of Washington and the Multifamily Housing Association of Washington said. Paula Sardinas, founder of the Washington Build Back Black Alliance, hailed Seattle's extension. Families in vulnerable situations have been traumatized by the uncertainty surrounding evictions, she said. Pushing the city's moratorium into January should allow time for solutions, Sardinas said. Kate Rubin, executive director of the tenant advocacy organization, Be Seattle, called Durkan's order a real relief for a lot of renters, many of whom are waiting for rental assistance. Inslee should extend statewide protections, Rubin said. I don't know why he would be evicting people when help is available or on the way for so many, said Edmund Witter, senior managing attorney for the Housing Justice Project. Many tenants who have applied for rent assistance feel stuck in the black hole of bureaucracy, Witter said. The federal government has allotted hundreds of millions of dollars to local governments for COVID-19 rent assistance, but some efforts to get the money into the hands of the tenants and landlords have lagged. At this point, King County has spent about $34 million of the $145 million from the federal government's latest round of funding, or about 24%, according to the county's Department of Community and Human Services. Snohomish and Pierce counties, in contrast, have each spent more than 2/3 of their resources. The delay in King County has frustrated tenants and landlords alike, and the county has promised several changes to speed up its distribution program. Seattle has dispersed about $15 million in federally funded rent assistance since June and has allocated $6 million more to community organizations that serve people of color, Durkan said Tuesday. The city is now in the process of dispersing an additional $28 million, she said. To qualify for rent assistance, tenants living in King County must make 50% of the area's median income or less, about $40,500 annually for an individual. Both King County and Seattle are working with United Way, King County, to distribute rent assistance, and the county is handling the applications. Tenants can apply at eprap-prod.power, apps.portals.us/tenant, and they can also call 1-206-263-3481 for support. So again, this is really, really, really important. Okay, so the mayor of King County has extended the moratorium until mid-January. The question is our mayor going to do, or will he wait because he's running for re-election? Will he wait and see if Governor Inslee will extend the moratorium so that he doesn't have to make that decision and potentially put himself at risk for I intend to reach out to the mayor and hopefully solicit an answer from him. I will also try to reach out to my contacts in Olympia and get back to you unless the news comes out first. But again, I wanted to bring you the news. Seattle has extended their eviction moratorium until January 2022. Well, I think this is a great thing for tenants. I think this is a horrible thing for rent homeowners and those that rent out their properties. I also think that this can be dangerous for any of you renters that have not saved your money, have not done the things that we talked about on the podcast yesterday. Please go back and watch the podcast with Bremerton Housing Authority and Kitsap Community Resources. I don't know what your relationship is with your landlord, but you need to make sure that you have a good working relationship with them. If you are unable to pay, that is understandable, but this strain is pressing down on them. And at some point, there may not be enough empathy in the world for them to continue to work with folks once they are able to evict or not renew leases. And you may find yourself in a hard way trying to find a new place to live. All right. So again, tomorrow night at 5 p.m., Carl Jacobson, NAACP.